Hi, Desert Heli here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to solder up a battery connector and do some basic soldering. So first things first, when I'm soldering on these batteries, you don't want to do both leads at one time. There's the risk of them shorting out and things kind of blowing up in your face. So with that said, here we go. Now, for this battery, I'm going to shorten my leads up a little bit. I don't like a bunch of extra wire hanging out there, so. First, I strip cut the wire, and then strip the insulation off. Next, I'm going to put a little bit of flux on my wire, and now it's time to tin the wire. So first, before I tin the wire, after my soldering iron's heated up real good, I'm going to clean the tip off. It's important to clean your tip before you try to solder this stuff up, so you're getting a good connection to conduct heat. So got my tip cleaned up. Now I'm going to tin the tip with some solder. And then I'm going to touch it to the wire and tin my wire. And you just need to tin it real good. Next, I'm going to take my take the part of the connector that the wire is going to be soldered into, and I put it into a clothespin to help me hold it. And same thing, I'm going to tin that. Before I do that, I better put some flux in it though. There we go. Got a toothpick. I'm going to put a little bit of flux in there. So the solder sticks real good. Clean my tip again. Tin the tip to get a good connection. And I'm going to tin that connector. And see, this here I filled it up pretty good. So now I'm actually gonna solder the two together. And it takes a little bit of doing just to get the angles and everything right. Once again, I'll clean the tip. Put a little bit of solder on it. It's important to heat your joint up real good, so so the solder on both the wire and the connector melt. And you can see it's still hot. Didn't let it cool long enough there. There we go. And just hold it till it sets up. That's that one done right there. And now, being that I've already done this one, I'm going to put it straight into the connector while it's hot, so there's no risk of it shorting out on me. Push it in there real good. I'll probably go back after I'm done soldering it up to make sure it's seated in there all the way, but for right now I mostly just want to make sure that it's not going to short out on me. And time to cut the other wire, prep it out, and get it all set. A little bit of flux. Clean the tip. Tin it. Now to me that's probably a bit long, so I'm going to trim just a little bit off. Put a little bit of the flux in the connector. And we'll clean the tip again and tin it so we get a good connection. There we go, that one's filled up. And that one's all set. I'm going to double check and make sure I got the polarity right, so I don't end up hooking my battery up backwards. And you probably can't see it, but it's marked on this connector. Push it in. See, now that I've got both of them done, I'll go back and make sure they're both seated real good. Look at that, there it is. One last thing I like to do when I'm done, I like to clean the flux off my connections. So I got a little bit of contact cleaner here, and I'm just gonna soak it in there. We'll leave it nice and clean. And that's all there is to it. Quick, easy, and it's done. Another use for the soldering iron a lot of guys probably don't think about is when you gotta do some maintenance or repair crash damage. Another good thing you can use your soldering iron for is to break Loctite free. And that keeps you from stripping out bolts and all that on your helis, as well as having a good quality driver to work with. A lot of times the drivers that come with kits, although they will work for assembly, When you go to disassemble a heli, a lot of times you'll end up rounding out the bolts. So kind of an easy thing for when you're rebuilding is to heat the bolt up and break the Loctite free. And it's pretty easy. Just like soldering, I like to clean my tip, so I'm making a good connection with the bolt. But you can see, you just stick it in there and leave it in there for 10, 5, 10, 15 seconds, kind of whatever it takes. You'll get a feel for it. But it breaks that breaks the Loctite down, and that stuff just comes free with very little effort, And that's still a good bit warm, but it's pretty easy to do. You just heat it up, wait a few seconds, and they come right out. But this will save you from stripping a bunch of stuff out, especially if you're in a hurry. Take the time and heat them up, and you won't have a bunch of stuff all stripped out. And that's pretty well it for the day.